And so you're in Los Angeles, but you were
I
originally
am.
from Russia, right? Or
No, so Ukraine, Soviet Union.
Ukraine.
I
Okay.
speak Russian. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Okay. I
yes.
got you.
Born in
I got you.
Ukraine, grew up in Chicago, and been
Nice.
living in LA for a long time now.
Did you go to LA because it would benefit your business, or was it just kind of like a life thing happened and you just found
I
yourself in
always
LA?
wanted to live in LA. I went for
Okay.
college. I went to Marymount University and
Yeah.
never left because the
Yeah.
weather is, it's just wonderful. I really, really do love living here.
That's awesome. Well, that's really cool. And yes, the weather's
Mhm.
great. I'm from of Orange Beach, California. So that's where I
Nice.
originally grew up. Yeah. So I'm from there originally and now I'm in Louisiana. So it's definitely a stark contrast to
Louisiana. Oh God, this cat like popping up. It looks very
Louisiana. It's
creepy.
okay. That's fine. But yeah, I'm in Louisiana right now. And so, yeah, but no, I'm familiar with the Los Angeles area. My dad grew up there and everything. So yeah, got a little bit of some roots in California. But you
Nice.
started one of the cool things though. I like your business. I like what it's based on because
Thank
especially
you.
in today's day and age, we've had to come up with interesting ways to do workouts and everything, especially from home. So I like that you're trying to better the home workout. You're trying to make it more of a community, more
Hmm.
inviting, I guess. And I appreciate that. Is that kind of what
Well,
that
thankfully it's working because we've never met before. And if that's what's pushing through, that means something in that
something's
marketing
working?
area
Yeah,
is
yeah,
working. Because
yeah.
sometimes you get into these phases where I'm actually going through now, like I'm gonna be super blunt about it. It's like what last month I had all these subscribers and now I have a certain amount less. Like doesn't
Hmm.
matter the numbers, but it's like you get so down on yourself and this isn't working. Why am I even posting? And this is another thing.
Feel
Instagram's
that.
algorithm only shows like I'll get so many X amount of views on things that have nothing to do with my business. And then when I post anything about business, it like
It's
depreciates like
wow.
crazy amount. And it's everything that's working against us is so hearing that makes me feel better. I'm like, okay, something's coming through, something's working.
Yeah, I mean you popped up on my end and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
I seek out people who have started businesses. That's really kind of where how I discovered you and I liked your content, I like what you post. So a lot of free crap comes with that, just posting all the free workouts and everything. But yeah, you're right. As far as the Instagram algorithm, and I saw you posting this, you do the reels a lot. I had
Yes.
no idea that the reels operated like TikTok almost.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a lot of views. You get whether it turns into like sales is another thing, but like
Yeah.
as far as exposure, I mean, you
That's the biggest thing. It's like you do these things thinking, okay, obviously it's giving you exposure. And with reels, because Instagram has their algorithm where they push it even more, you can get a couple X amount of hundreds of views or thousands of views
exactly.
versus like a post that will like what is it? What do we see? Like 10% of what's actually on Instagram. So that's the reason for them pushing in. And it works like TikTok where people are just scrolling through. So if you happen to like pop onto something that you agree with or works for you, then that's how you see the content.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of changed up. First of all, I have posted on TikTok, but maybe it's just like the millennial in me, and
I
I'm like, I
don't know how
don't
to
get
do
it.
it. I don't know
I
how to do it.
don't get it. I
I,
just
I
don't get the point of it. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, I know that I like how it seems as though you get exposure even if you're a nobody. Like it seems
exactly,
like TikTok has a good way, like it's just a great way of pushing your shit out there even if nobody knows who you are. So, as
exactly,
opposed to
exactly.
Facebook and Instagram.
And sometimes, I mean, again, I am not a TikTok fanatic. I don't know
Mhm.
much about it. I know enough about it, but sometimes I was even explaining to my boyfriend, I'm like, it's the most random shit that you're like, how
It
did this
is.
get millions and
That's
millions of views? But because it's
it
so
pisses me
random,
off.
because it's that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's almost you almost have to if you're going to go into it with fitness maybe and maybe you're probably a step ahead of it than I am, but like trying to make it random, make it funny, make it goofy, and that's like the way I'd imagine you'd have to do it on TikTok as opposed
yeah,
to taking it seriously. But you had mentioned
yeah.
earlier too, you had said earlier on Instagram, you said you were struggling with like finding exposure, right? Is that sort of an ongoing thing, or was that just like a period of time where you were like, shit, nothing's working? Like, what do I do?
You know what? It comes in waves, and I have to remind myself constantly, like, I'll compare myself to other people with big like fitness pages, and I'm like, how? And then I'm like, oh wow, this person was doing this 3 years prior to the pandemic. I started during the pandemic.
That's
and
right.
Of course, maybe that I'm using that as an excuse, because I am like, hard on myself. I want my business to work. I want the things that I put my energy in to come into fruition. But you kind of have to be like honest with yourself, and which is what I'm trying to do now. It's like, this is where I'm at. This is what I've done. This worked for a while.
Yeah.
Now let's crank it up a notch. Let's try something different. Let's get into like different communities, different variations, doing something different. Because as soon as you change that up, or maybe it doesn't happen quickly, but I've already exhausted one part of my business. Let's see what we can do now more.
I see that. Yeah. And I mean, you got to give yourself credit though. A 1 year, and you've already at 11,000 followers. Like that's, I don't think people are making that much progress. It's very,
thank you.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I definitely think, especially, on Instagram, if you can find your niche in like the training world and everything, then you can create a space for yourself. What do you think?
Exactly.
What do you think is sort of the biggest problem facing us now with fitness? I guess in America, truly. Like, do you think that it has to do with figuring, like, how do we figure it out?
Fitness in America, biggest problem with fitness in America.
Yeah.
I think we're so saturated. There's so many awesome workouts that you can do that work forever. Like for me, I did CrossFit for a while. I didn't enjoy it. I don't have no desire to do it. Some people that is their end all be all. And that's awesome.
It's very nice to hear somebody say they didn't enjoy it, actually, because everybody I talked to is like, do CrossFit. Good. It's great. It's amazing. I'm like,
it's not what I wanted. It's not the workout that I wanted. And I know people will argue on this for me. I don't have anything against it. It's just not for what I want. It didn't make me feel the way that I feel after like a Pilates class, after like a cardio class or spin class. I needed that in like those type of workouts for me. But I just think there's so much good stuff out there, and it's so stressful. You're like, I want to go and try it out. I want to do it. I want to do all of these things, but we're human and we have only so much time in the day, and we have families. Hopefully we have friends, and just trying to get it all done in one single day, because we all put so much pressure on ourselves and stress ourselves out when it's literally like easier said than done. But just we're here.
Yeah. And I like what you said too. Do you tend to focus with your programs and everything? You tend more toward the HIIT style training, right? So you kind of, I think I read
it's more Pilates HIIT.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think of strengthening, lengthening, toning exercises, Pilates mixed with like some HIIT, because I like exercises that are slow, a lot of more static movements, because you get to activate all of those like little muscles that you didn't even know existed, and then bring it in for like a 30-second like cardio set. Your body
really cool.
changes quick transition. You're like, what just happened? And that's when I think people really see the results. That's when people get all that adrenaline, when you're like stuck in one motion, you're stuck in something, and then poof, something changes and you're like going for it, which is the same in life as well. Because as we know, fitness imitates life.
Do you think Pilates is kind of misunderstood as far as like a workout style? Because it's not that it's like, it's funny because Pilates is fucking hard. Like it is very hard. And
you get yourself on a machine, you're like, why is everything shaking? What's happening here?
It's so just like all about stabilizing. But if you asked anybody to define what Pilates is, I couldn't give you an answer. And I'm sure nobody really could.
I can give you an answer. Can't promise it's going to happen. But so the basics of Pilates started off as kind of like healing the body. So if any athletes or dancers specifically had any injuries, it was used to help those muscles, to get the strength in those tiny little muscles. Then different versions of Pilates came in. I actually am licensed in Legree Fitness, which if you look it up, it's a more it's a more athletic approach to Pilates. It's still on a machine, so that's what I got licensed in a few years ago. That I worked for a studio, and then once the pandemic hit, I did my own thing, and I actually really miss the machine. I'm very much looking forward to taking a class sometime soon. But so what our method did was they took the basics of Pilates and just added planks, added more difficult exercises, but still concentrating on that slow 4 count out, 4 count in, focus on form and function and positioning, and really just strengthening in order for you to be able to do any other type of workout out there.
So it's almost like it was originally designed as sort of a supplementary thing. And
Yes.
then, okay. And then as it became more mainstream, then there were other
different versions came out. Yeah.
Different versions and everything. But it seems like something anybody should be doing, no matter who you
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely.
It should be a part of your workout style, because I mean, I imagine you see this. I imagine you see that it's, you talked about oversaturation, and there's an abundance of things out there, but at some point it's pretty linear, you know, that there's not much talk about putting more focus on this other aspect of working out. Like if you know, go do Pilates,
stretching, straight.
yoga.
It's a different form of strengthening. What someone once told me, I don't remember who it was, but the athletes that get injured are the ones that are doing the same movements every single day. And that's what I've kind of started to hone in on. None of my classes that you will ever take are ever the same. You'll notice the same exercises because, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but we will never do the same body part or the same workout back to back. Why? Because if you do it 2 times in a row, you're exhausting that muscle, and that's good for it. However, but if you do it too much and you keep consistently doing the same thing, your body's going to plateau. You're not going to see the results that you want, and you risk hurting yourself. On top of the fact that, oh, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's okay. No.
On top of the fact that I always remind my students, I do it for myself. Like I have a Peloton, I'll hop on the Peloton, I'll go to the gym a couple of times a week, just so that my body doesn't get used to what I'm doing constantly.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's interesting. And the approach also too, I think with fitness in general, you know, we forgot about the importance of rest and recovery, or almost like active rest and recovery. So is that something you're really trying to push nowadays? Is like, you guys can do all this stuff, all the standard repetitive movements, but you do have to prioritize these different forms in order to rejuvenate yourself, I guess.
Exactly. The cat keeps popping up, but
I love your cat. It's okay.
I know, but it's funny because he like randomly creeps up. So it's like, where are you coming from?
He does like awesome cat stuff. Yeah, that's good.
I always tell people, like, take a rest day. And what does a rest day mean? If you're one of those people that you do better when your body's in movement, great. A rest day could be a long walk. A rest day could be like a yoga class. Everyone's rest day is different. But again, if you're doing the same workout, the same sets, the same kind of picking up, dropping up weights, whatever it is, the entire time, your body, I just don't think that it does anything good for your body, maybe right now, but what's going to happen when we're, knock on wood, 70, 80 years old, which is what I love about Pilates, and why I think maybe people should incorporate it if they have the opportunity to, once, twice a week, is that you will build that strength for that muscle that won't go away even when you're in old age. And that's the whole point of it. I think my generation, our generation, is seeing that, like, what our grandparents did, where they exhausted themselves to the point of, some of them are so unhealthy,
breaking themselves. Like when they get older, they're bent over, they're slumped over, they're hurt. Yeah,
they're hurt. They're overweight, unfortunately. And again, there's different things that cause that, and I'm not biased against it. Yeah, but we want to be moving for years and years and years on. We don't want to be like, okay, I turned this age, I'm only working out until then. I want to be working out. I want to be healthy for years to come.
Yeah. And you're right. You know, you look at, like, you know, this is the extreme, but the bodybuilders, right? Professional bodybuilders, I imagine, you know, there's some of them who have ended up well and they're fine and they're not hurt, but some of them are truly, like, they're in their 50s and they're on crutches, like they're broken. They were lifting so heavy, they were absolutely annihilating their bodies. And it's, you know, that, like, they're in their 50s and they're already at that point where you've seen, like, 80-year-olds, you know, you've seen them on crutches and everything. So you're right. I think there's, like, some some education that needs to be done for the generation now so that they can continue fitness in the long term and progress.
We all know how good
that.
it makes us feel to move. Again, a basic walk can change your day.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to walk and move. And again, there's external things that can happen beyond that can prevent that. And we're all very privileged to be able to have bodies that aren't hurt, that can move. And we want to keep doing that as we keep getting older.
Do you, what is your daily diet? And I know I ask people, like, for you personally, what's your eating regimen just to keep up what you're doing?
Cool.
Yeah.
So I typically go about like 13 to 14 hours intermittent fasting from my last meal. That's what I've been doing for the past.
Awesome.
2 years.
Okay.
So intermittent fasting. And then it's interesting regarding diet, just like sidetrack. I have been following this lady on Instagram, and of course I'm forgetting her name on it, but I'm really learning a lot from her because she talks about periods and hormones. And she's saying how all diets that are current out in this world right now have only been tested on men and postmenopausal women. So I don't know if this is a realm that you want to.
No. This is good. I like this just because I've never gotten on this topic and people would be interested to hear in it. But you're right. I agree with that.
Yeah. So it's for women who are in this ripe age of potentially having children, if that's what they want to do. These tests aren't being done on us because our hormones are so all over the place. And the more I read up on it, I'm like, okay, is this right for my body? Maybe it was right before. Listen, I still enjoy it because I don't like to work out. With a full stomach, but I am in the process of changing up things and being like, okay, what works for me? What works for my hormones on top of that? What works for my body as I'm getting into this age? But it's something that Alyssa VT. Just remembered her name.
Alyssa,
but it's something that
we'll give her a shout out, but give me that name again. Alyssa
VT, VITTI, and she's she has a bunch of followers too, and she's pretty well known, has written books. She has her own hormone tracking system. It's very
she can share it. Maybe we'll become famous together.
But yeah, diet is something that I'm always trying to rework, see what works for me. But I got to the point in my life where I very rarely crave junk food. And again, I love a good Snickers bar. That's
I feel that.
The cheaper the chocolate, the happier that I am. And
Snickers is the old reliable.
Allow myself to have it.
Yeah.
But lean meat, love salads, grilled vegetables. I'm lucky to live in a place where there are a lot of options of what I want to eat, but I'm not going to say no to pasta. I'm not going to say no to a burger. If I want it, I'll think about it and I'll have it, and then I'll adjust from there.
With the aspect of hormones, and this is just, for people struggling with that, in that particular point in their life, do you feel like the intermittent fasting helps with the ups and downs of that? Does it level it out a little bit? What do you think?
You know what? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just something that works for me.
I don't know either. Surprise.
Let's be real. I hate listening to podcasts where they're like, oh, they're making up an answer. I'm like, I don't know. I appreciate that. On this is something that I'm learning on. And I was really excited to talk about her because I always repost her stories and I'm like, wow, I didn't know this. How are we not, as women, how are we not told this? And it just comes in the research.
Yeah. No, I mean, it does come down to, I imagine, just trying stuff out and seeing what works for you. So I imagine everybody's in the same boat. Nobody can say, oh no, this is the way to go. If you want to control that, you do this.
That's the thing. There are people like that. And I support that. It worked for them and they want to share their journey. I support
just
that. For them. And everybody's body is different. And we know that what the workout that's going to work for me might not work for you. The eating schedule that works for me might not work for my boyfriend, and definitely doesn't work for my boyfriend. But it's just about, I guess the best way to answer that is if you can have an 80% of your day be healthy, and then 20% you allow yourself to relax. Again, depending on your goals. If you're like, I need to be this weight by anything, which I love seeing when influencers post like what I eat in a day, because it motivates. I would say it motivates me to eat healthier. But again, that's them curating a specific meal plan for the day, or maybe it took them a week to put that together. We don't know. Like that tiny like chip that you picked up, that should be on what I eat in a day. The apple that you took a bite of, that should be in what I eat in a day. These things change daily.
That's true. And it does, I feel as though, do you think people are afraid to try new things with dieting because there might be this misunderstanding, like especially when you're trying to like lose weight and everything? Most people go down the road of starving themselves, and maybe you know, I'm sure the literature has changed nowadays, and I'm not hearing that as much as I used to, but just when it comes to trying different diets, do you feel as though people are a little afraid to do that? I guess
I think people are just more, and myself included, more uneducated about. They hear something, they're like, oh my God, yeah, I want to do that. But then we don't do the research on like, how does it affect every part of our body? How do we properly do it? And how do we properly align ourselves and our workouts with our diet so that it works together? And again, I'm guilty of it 100%. It's like you hear something, you're like, oh, I want to do that. Why? But why? How is it going to help you? How is it going to enhance your performance?
Sure. But it's almost admitting that you have to do some base level of research. You can't just go into it because somebody else did it. You know, it worked for them. But that's with intermittent fasting though. Do you feel like you're going to continue down that road with how it makes you feel?
I feel like for now, yes. I feel like it keeps me at the shape and where I want to be. And again, like I have early morning clients, and sometimes like, God, what is wrong with you? And I don't want to be full for a workout, but for now, yes.
Well, that's cool, because it's definitely, I remember when intermittent fasting became pretty damn popular and everybody was trying it. And it's kind of, it's funny because I knew everybody would do it. Like I knew people with my body type would do it, and everybody was trying it. And then it kind of, you know, the research started getting out there, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's they say, don't do this, you know, don't do intermittent fasting, go down this road, do this kind of diet. And it seems like we're always back to square one, where you're trying to figure out the thing that works best for you. And that was cool, and now this is cool, and now this is cool. And it's like there's just all this cherry picking going on, and we can never get down to you're cool. It's true. It's like intermittent fasting, and then there was like, you know, for freaking keto was up there, you know. It's just everything is confusing nowadays because you think that there's a set way to do it. So we've lost like touch with simplicity and everything, you know. Back to
that's exactly what it is, simplicity. What we find I actually just went to an acupuncturist, and we were talking about things, and she was saying like, you need to eat a lot of this, and it just brought me back down. It's like, we have all the simplicity around us, fruits, vegetables, and then obviously we've made it sexier, and we have these wonderful restaurants that we should go to, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's simple. It's what we have around us, what nature has brought to us.
Is it, you talked about acupuncture, so you're a regular acupuncture goer?
I used to be, and then I just had my first session back. Nice. It's definitely one of those things that pretty expensive. So like I will do it if it's like something that my body requires. My boyfriend actually did it. He had like a tennis elbow situation, and he went to his doctor, and they're like, you just have to wait it out, gave them like some pain medication, blah, 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 but it wasn't going away. And then a few rounds with the acupuncturist, and so acupuncture is the insertion of these tiny little needles into specific pressure points in your body. And within 4 sessions, it helped him. And I know some people will think like it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but I think the connection of Western and Eastern medicine, if you have that opportunity, is always best, because what Eastern medicine does is brings us back to like our simplicity, to our roots, to our grounding, and how our energies work within our bodies. Could be
the way to influence people to rest more, you know, with doing with bringing in the Eastern medicine and all the naturopathic stuff. But that stuff, I do believe that it does work. You know, acupuncture is no joke either. That's been around forever. You know, there's, you can't say, oh no, that doesn't work. Like, no, dude, it's acupuncture's huge. I mean, everybody, so many people do it.
Why not be open to it? And literally, it's like the needles get put in, and then you're laying there for 20 minutes, meditating, napping, whatever it is. And there's that like break that you need in the middle of your day where everything's like all these to-do lists and things that have to get done and things that haven't been done. It's all sitting up there, and then just to release.
Yeah. The lack of stress is necessary. I guess even with fitness, there's probably so many indirect things that affect your approach to fitness that, you know, most trainers will give you the diet plan and give you the workout, but nowadays there's not this focus or the shift of focus onto the other aspects, or the you know, taking away the stress really before you even get into the other nitty gritty planning, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you do anything else other than acupuncture? Are you or do you get cupping, or I don't know?
I've done cupping before. Oh my God. It's like the deepest massage you could ever get. I remember walking around and I'm like, ooh, this is fun. Which is fun fact. I remember, so my family moved from Ukraine to the States when I was 4. And I remember my grandmother cupping each other. And it was kind of like a known thing. Like if you got sick, if you had any back pain, like that's what they would do. Flash forward to like X amount of years later, and I'm at the acupuncturist and I'm getting cupping, and I'm like, hold on, getting back into that simplicity, remembering all of those things that like our grandparents knew that actually worked, where you don't have to take, and listen, some people need to take Advil because they're in so much pain. I'm not against that, but before doing something, but before doing something that is going to affect your inside, a chemical or something like that, there's things that you could do that have been around for ages and ages. And again, simplicity. It's like you take cups, obviously you have to learn how to do it, but it's worked before, it's still working now.
Is that what you deal with for the majority of your clients? Do they kind of come to you with, or what is the biggest problem that you sort of see with your clients? Like in general, why do they come to you? I completely went down a different path. We were talking about acupuncture and I went, hey, you know, your clients,
I would boost myself and say that my clients come because they want to have a good time. They know they love the workout. I try to stay as positive as possible. I'm human. We have our moments. But I tend to push them using positive reinforcement rather than like, and for some people that negative reinforcement works, and that's great. But for me, I'm like, let's have a good time. I want you to forget that you're working out, and it's hard as shit. Like at the beginning, back into simplicity, a plank, simple. You do that, your body is shaking, your arms are working, your core is tight, your hips are tucking. Like it's brutal. All one large thing, and staying still is sometimes the hardest thing. So I think they come because they're like, I want a good workout. I want to feel good. I don't want to feel to the point where I can't take on the rest of my day. I want them to take this energy on for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week.
Yeah. So it's creating an environment that is welcoming. And at the end of the day, it's more, you're right, positive feedback. You know, although there's going to be somebody out there who is like, no, this is the negative feedback group. You're not going to get it. You know, I imagine somebody on Instagram is going to be doing that because they're going to be like, how can I make that
they have their people. That's awesome. Like I remember saying to someone that I worked with when I used to work at a studio, like the person that might come to you might not come to me. Why? Because I might look like their ex-girlfriend and I might sound like their ex-best friend.
They need a different
and they don't
stimulus.
want to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
It's something simple that we might not even think about. It doesn't matter. That's not my issue. They don't want to see my work. Great. I hope you find a workout that works for you.
But you're spot on in that the majority of people don't know where to begin, and they're not looking to be bogged down with a whole bunch of jargon. You know, that they don't want to be overwhelmed. They just want an atmosphere where they can chat with people. They can become friends with people. They can become friends with you, and so naturally that's kind of the way to go. Do you see yourself scaling beyond what you've got built up right now? Do you ever see yourself the Albina empire of training? It'll
What I
happen.
would love is to have my virtual platform as it is even bigger. I want merchandise. I would love for people to have this space that they can log on to,
Nice.
whether it's 2 a.m., 5 a.m.,
Access
7
these
p.m.
things.
They know
Yeah.
that they can access a class. And so how all my classes work, so I have subscription options. You can pay per class. I have my live classes, and then I record those live classes and put them onto my on-demand library, which people
Jesus.
love because they're like, it feels like I'm actually taking a live class. But if the live class didn't work for me schedule-wise, I can hop on a few hours later or earlier and take the class itself. So
Wow.
that's what and like, I just want people at any point of the day that they know that they need someone to like help them raise their mood, their energies. They log on, they hang out with me. I had one of my friends from Israel back in the summer message me. She's like, we hung out, but you didn't know this. And she sends me a screenshot of her like working out.
Oh my gosh.
And that was so
cool.
sweet. Like, that's what I want.
That's awesome. So it connects you with people that otherwise you wouldn't have remembered. It was like they kind of pop back into your life. That's cool. That's always good advice for people going down the same road, like as a coach, trying to develop their own business. And I like what you said in the beginning about Instagram, about trying to keep that up, maybe for our generation and everything. And even though it seems like that time has passed, because that when it started, it was like a few years back when you started seeing it all crop up and everything. But you did it relatively recently. So, you figured it out to some degree, so that's cool. That's good advice that they can use if they want to like take it somewhere.
Yeah. And if anyone that's watching this hasn't taken a Pilates class, not Pilates, whatever, I have a 3-week trial online. Okay. You can take all the on-demand classes, live classes that you want.
Okay.
We're actually working today. Right before this, I started my 2-week True to You challenge. So I have a couple of speakers on there. One of my really good friends, Natalie Linez, started this company, My Magic Mornings, and it's like a 5-step routine to a better morning to a better day. And it's like scientifically proven, especially with things that's like, don't touch your phone in the morning. So it stands for magic, cool. Meditation. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And it just kind of sets you up. I've been doing her practice for like 2 years now. And it's just, for me, beyond the spiritual aspect of it, it just reminds me to take that, even if it's like 5 minutes of time
to breathe.
Yeah.
To breathe, to center yourself, refocus everything.
Yeah. So the 2-week challenge that we're doing on is 6. What I'm asking from people is 6 workouts, 1 in-person workout if you're in California, and to attend these workshops. And all they're doing is just making you feel better.
Okay. So it's and then it's Body by Albina,
the Body
right?
by Bina True to You challenge.
Body by Bina True to You challenge. I'll write that down. Okay.